Good morning, students. Welcome to the second day of your English online class. Yesterday, we saw the introduction of the chapter The Portrait of a Lady by Khushwant Singh. Today, we are going to go through the story, the first half of the story. So, let's begin. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. She had been old and wrinkled for the 20 years that I had known her. So our narrator begins by stating the obvious कि उसकी दादी बूढ़ी हैं. That's obvious. Grandmothers are supposed to be old, but he states that. So you see, the writer is starting with a very childish perspective, from a child's point of view. So he thinks my dadi was as old, like just like the other grandmother out there, and she was always this old and wrinkled. 20 साल से जब तक मैं उन्हें जान रहा हूँ मैंने उन्हें ऐसा ही देखा है, always old. People said that she had once been young and pretty and had even had a husband, but that was hard to believe. So he cannot digest the fact कि मेरी दादी कभी young भी हुई होंगी. She would have had a life of her own. She would have been a kid. She would have, done masti and gone to school or something. It was very hard to accept this fact for the narrator. He always looked at her from the perspective, from this view that she is his dadi, his grandmother. So he never really accepted the fact that she could have been young once. My grandfather's portrait hung above the mantelpiece in the drawing room. He wore a big turban and loose fitting clothes. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest and he looked at least 100 years old. Now he's coming to his grandfather कि she must have been married, तो उनका जो husband है वो कैसे थे. तो his photo was there on the fireplace. उसके ऊपर जो जगह थी shelf में वहाँ पे उनका photo था. तो even he was old. He had a big white beard which covered the best part of his chest. बहुत लंबी दाढ़ी थी उनकी, जो सफ़ेद दाढ़ी. और उनको भी देखकर लग रहा था कि he was meant to be grandfather. वो भी कभी young नहीं हुए होंगे. Okay. He did not look the sort of person who would have a wife or children. He looked as if he could only have lots and lots of grandchildren. So they were old. So he could not picture them as being young someday, having a life, having kids, and sending them to school as parents. They were only capable of being grandparents, according to the narrator. As for my grandmother, being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. He could not imagine कि मेरी दादी जो इतनी she is so respected, she is so graceful, gracious, तो कभी young, सुंदर हुई होंगी. I cannot think of it. She often told us of the games she used to play as a child. That seemed quite absurd and undignified on her part, and we treated it like the fables of the prophets she used to tell us. तो ही केप्ट हिज ग्रैंडमदर एट अ वेरी हाई पेडेस्टल. उनको बहुत ही ऊंचे स्थल पर रखा था उसने. तो वो ऐसे इमेजिन ही नहीं कर सकता था कि उसकी दादी कभी यंग भी हुई होंगी, कभी बच्ची भी हुई होंगी, कुछ खेल भी खेले होंगे बच्चे की तरह. वो नहीं कि मेरी दादी ऐसा कर सकती, नहीं, वो तो दादी है, शी कैन नॉट डू इट. बट ही यूज़ टू डिसमिस दो स्टोरीज़ कि चलो जैसे प्रॉफिट्स हैं, जैसे बहुत संत महात्मा के भी बचपन के स्टोरीज़ होते हैं जब उन लोग थोड़े नादान होते हैं, तो वैसे ही उनकी बचपन की कहानियों को किस्सा समझ के मैं छोड़ देता हूँ. शी हैड ऑलवेज बीन शॉर्ट एंड फैट एंड स्लाइटली बेंट. तो शी वॉज ऑलवेज शॉर्ट, मोटी थी, स्लाइटली बेंट, झुक गई थी, उम्र के कारण उनमें झुकाव आ गया था. हर फेस वॉज अ क्रिस क्रॉस ऑफ रिंकल्स रनिंग फ्रॉम एवरीवेयर टू एवरीवेयर. तो उनका जो चेहरा था उसमें बहुत झुर्रियाँ थे, बिकॉज वो बहुत बूढ़ी हो गई थी, तो हर जगह से झुर्रियाँ थी उनकी. He is giving a very ridiculous description of his grandmother, if you notice. No, we were certain she had always been as we had known her. Old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older and had stayed at the same age for 20 years. तो ही इज़ थिंकिंग कि नहीं, मेरी दादी में कभी कोई बदलाव नहीं आया होगा, वो हमेशा से ऐसी बूढ़ी थी, ऐसी बूढ़ी रहेंगी, और इतनी बूढ़ी कि इससे बूढ़ी वो हो ही नहीं सकती. सो ही जस्ट थॉट दैट शी वॉज ऑलवेज लाइक दिस. She could never have been pretty, but she was always beautiful. So कि सुंदर नहीं होंगी, but she was beautiful. Now pretty is a very minor term over here. Pretty is something that we use to talk about things and objects that are pretty, but beautiful is a much more stronger word. When you say someone is beautiful, you're not only appreciating the appearance of the person. You're appreciating the person's vibe, aura, personality. So he said that his dadi was not pretty, but she was beautiful in her own way. The way she was, the way she carried herself, the way her entire personality was, it was just beautiful. She hobbled about the house in spotless white, with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop on the other, telling the beads of her rosary. तो हमेशा वो मतलब रूम में कभी घर में जो थी, you see how dadis are always engaged, they keep themselves occupied with some tasks that they think are very important. So same way even the narrator's grandmother, she used to walk in the house always engaging herself, और वो झुकी थी इसलिए उनका एक हाथ उनके कमर पे रहता था to support her back, and with other hand she had this जपने वाली माला. Rosary means strings of beads used for prayer, तो वो उस माला उनके एक हाथ में रहता था. Her silver locks were scattered untidily over her pale, puckered face, and her lips constantly moved in inaudible prayer. So she had white hair naturally because she was so old, and she did not even bother about combing her hair or tying them up neatly. It was just tied in a messy way. एंड हर पेल पकड़ फेस, तो उनका फेस भी बहुत एज के कारण वीक था, झुर्रियों के साथ था. एंड उन आपने देखे होंगे अपनी दादी, बूढ़ी दादी, बड़ी दादियों को, वो माला जपती हैं तो मन में मंत्र उच्चारण करती रहती हैं. तो सेम वे नैरेटर की दादी भी करती रहती थी हमेशा. Yes, she was beautiful. He's affirming this thing कि no, yeah, like the way she was, the way she used to do her prayers, she used to go around the house, she was beautiful in that way itself. She was like the winter landscape in the mountains, an expanse of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. So she was very calm, dignified. उनके अपीयरेंस में ही कुछ अच्छी बात थी, कुछ खास बात थी कि उनको देखकर ही पॉजिटिविटी आती थी. वो जैसे स्नो में, माउंटेन्स में जब विंटर पड़ता है तो स्नो जैसा होता है, स्नो का जो चादर रहती है, वैसे उनका अपीयरेंस था. वाइट, प्योर, पीसफुल, दैट इज़ हाउ शी वॉज. My grandmother and I were good friends. So, even though she was old, narrator considered her to be his very good friend. He was very close to her. We saw that in the introduction also yesterday. My parents left me with her when they went to live in the city, and we were constantly together. So now he was attached to her because he did not have parents to be with. So he used to live with his grandmother. His parents were away in the city and they had left the son with the grandmother. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for school. So you see now, because the narrator's responsibility fell on the grandmother, she used to do it diligently. And you have seen how dadis are. They are very loving, kind, and very more motherly. They are grandmother after all. If anyone can be grander than mother, it's grandmother. So she used to always take care of the kid. She used to wake him up, then dress him up for school. She said her morning prayer in a monotonous sing-song while he bathed and dressed me. While she bathed and dressed me in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. So even while bathing the little boy, she used to sing her prayer so that वो normal एक tone होता होगा, आपने देखा होगा बड़े लोगों का. The elderly have a particular tone when they say a poem or do an arti or chant a mantra. So in the same tone she used to chant when she used to bathe the narrator, and hoping that he would learn it. So she was very religious and she wanted the narrator to imbibe all those qualities in him. I listened because I loved her voice, but never bothered to learn it. So narrator was also someone who was very frivolous. So he listened to those mantras, those songs that she used to sing because he really admired her. He loved her voice, but he never really cared about learning those mantras. Then she would fetch me my wooden slate, which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, a tiny earthen inkpot and a red pen, tied him all in a bundle and handed to me. So she not only bathed him, woke him up, dressed him for school, she even got his, packed his bag for him. जो जो उसे चीज़ें चाहिए रहती थी वो पैक करके उसे देती थी. Grandmothers are naturally 10 times more caring than your mothers. After a breakfast of a thick stale chapati with a little butter and sugar spread on it, we went to school. So they used to have simple breakfast, simple meal, the typical of a village lifestyle. She carried several stale chapatis with her for the village dogs. My grandmother always went to school with me because the school was attached to the temple. So now, not only she used to take care of the narrator, she also used to, you know, care about the dogs that were out there. So all the leftover chapatis that were there for the night, वो लेकर वो डॉगीज को डाल देती थी. And then she used to go to school with the narrator because स्कूल के ही बगल में मंदिर था. The priest taught us the alphabet and the morning prayer. So our narrator was getting a very traditional education over here. He was being taught by a priest. तो उन्हें अल्फ़ाबेट्स भी सिखाता था और सुबह के जो प्रेयर्स होते थे वो भी सिखाए जाते थे. While the children sat in rows on either side of the veranda singing the alphabet or the prayers in chorus, my grandmother sat inside reading the scriptures. तो टेम्पल के बाहर ही स्कूल चलता था. तो बच्चे वेरांडा में, यू कैन सी देयर इज़ नो क्लासरूम, इट्स एन ओपन स्पेस जहाँ पे बच्चे बैठकर मंत्र पढ़ते थे, उनको याद करते थे या अल्फ़ाबेट्स पढ़ते थे. और ऑल दिस टाइम द ग्रैंड मदर यूज टू बी इनसाइड द टेम्पल रीडिंग स्क्रिप्चर्स. वो धार्मिक किताबें पढ़ती थी. When we had both finished, we would walk back together. और जब दोनों का हो जाता था, जब नैरेटर का स्कूल ख़त्म हो जाता था, उनकी किताबें पढ़ना ख़त्म हो जाती थी, तब उन लोग साथ में घर जाते थे. This time the village dogs would meet us at the temple door. They followed us to our home growling and fighting with each other for the chapatis we threw to them. You know doggies how they fight for food when they see that we are offering them. तो सेम वे जो डॉग्स रहते थे वो उनको घेर लेते थे और उनसे मतलब आप एक दूसरे से झगड़ते थे कि हमें चपाती चाहिए. When my parents were comfortably settled in the city, they sent for us. That was a turning point in our friendship. तो जब नैरेटर के पेरेंट्स कंफर्टेबली अच्छे से सेटल हो गए सिटी में, सो व्हाट डिड दे डू? दे आस्क्ड फॉर द ग्रैंडमदर एंड द सन टू मूव with them to the city. But that changed everything. You know, the connection that they had when they were living together changed when they moved to the city. Although we shared the same room, my grandmother no longer came to school with me. तो उन लोग को रूम तो एक ही मिला था, बट अब ग्रैंड मदर उनके साथ स्कूल नहीं जाती थी क्योंकि ये शहर का स्कूल था. इट वॉज नॉट लाइक अ सिंपल विलेज स्कूल. आई यूज़ टू गो टू एन इंग्लिश स्कूल इन अ मोटर बस. तो वो उसको ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ती थी किसी को छोड़ने की. एक बस आती थी जो उसको लेकर जाती थी इंग्लिश मीडियम स्कूल में. He was studying in a temple before and now he was enrolled in an English medium school. There were no dogs in the streets and she took to feeding sparrows in the courtyard of our city house. और सिटी था, अच्छा शहर था, तो वहाँ पे रास्ते में डॉग्स भी नहीं थे. तो शी स्टार्टेड फीडिंग स्पैरोज. आंगन में जो उनका बाहर का जो एरिया था वहाँ पे जो चिड़ियाँ आती थी उनको उन्होंने दाना डालना शुरू कर दिया. You see how she was robbed of her way of life. There was no temple, there were no dogs to feed. She had to adjust to the city life just because the kid has moved, the kid's kid was over there, so she had to move. There was no say. She did not have any say in this matter. She just had to accept her fate. As the years rolled by, we saw less of each other. So obviously the kid was growing up. He was burdened with homework, he had friends to go to, so they could not spend time the way they used to before. For some time she continued to wake me up and get me ready for school. When I came back she would ask me what the teacher had taught me. So of course जो normal routine था वो तो follow हो रहा था कि उसको उठाती थी, स्कूल के लिए रेडी भी कर देती थी, बट जो कनेक्शन उनके बीच में था वो कहीं ना कहीं छूट रहा था. But grandmother wanted to know, she was very much interested to know how the grandson was doing, क्या पढ़ रहा है वो स्कूल में, क्या नहीं पढ़ाया जा रहा, उस सब की से उन्हें खबर रखना अच्छा लगता था. I would tell her English words and little things of Western science and learning, the law of gravity, Archimedes' principle, the world being round, etc. So now he used to tell her, being a student कि स्कूल में जो पढ़ाया जाता था वो सब बताता था कि हमें इंग्लिश पढ़ाया जा रहा है, we are learning English, we are learning Western science, there is no traditional Indian शास्त्र that we have to study, it's all westernized. पूरा westernized concept था जो education का वो author को मिल रहा था. And that is why he was drifting away from the grandmother, because grandmother stood for all things traditional and cultural, and narrator was getting Western education, so he was not able to connect with the grandmother. And same way even grandmother thought that she has nothing to talk to with the grandson. She cannot give her opinion about these things. This made her unhappy. She could not help me with my lessons. तो अब तो उनकी पढ़ाई में मदद नहीं कर सकती थी because ये सारी चीज़ें उन्हें नहीं आती थी. She did not believe in the things they taught at the English school and was distressed that there was no teaching about God and the scriptures. शी वॉज शॉक कि ये कैसा स्कूल है जहाँ पे मतलब वेस्टर्न एजुकेशन दे रहे हैं पर स्क्रिप्चर्स भगवान के बारे में, हमारे पुराणों के बारे में कोई ज़िक्र नहीं, कोई पढ़ाई नहीं। उनको ये चीज़ें अच्छी नहीं लग रही थी कि हमारा बच्चा हमारे कल्चर ट्रेडिशन के बारे में कुछ सीख नहीं रहा। वन डे आई अनाउंस दैट वी वर बीइंग गिवन म्यूजिक लेसन्स। She was very disturbed. To her, music had lewd associations. It was the monopoly of harlots and beggars and not meant for gentlefolk. अब तो वो संभल ही रही थी. She was trying to make peace with the fact that the grandson was receiving Western education when he dropped the bomb that he's being taught music as well. This thought is very revolting even now. You know, Indian grandparents, parents even, they don't really accept the fact that the son is learning music. उनको वो दे फील दैट इट इज़ वेरी एफिमिनेट. एफिमिनेट मीन्स बहुत ही गर्लिश है ये चीज़ें, कि ये बच्चों के लिए नहीं है. एंड देन शी थॉट दैट इट्स मेंट फॉर बेगर्स, दे सिंग, सम लो वुमेन सिंग, बट ये अच्छे घर के बच्चे ये सीख गाना थोड़ी ना गाते हैं. शी सेड नथिंग बट हर साइलेंस मेंट दिस अप्रूवल. She rarely talked to me after that. So now, because he started doing music lessons, she thought that she cannot talk to him. He's become someone of a lower class. तो उसे बात भी करना बंद कर दिया. उन्होंने वैसे कुछ बोला नहीं, ना कुछ डांटा या समझाया या कोई ओपिनियन दिया, बस she just became quiet कि okay now the ship has sailed, I cannot, ये बहुत आगे बढ़ गई है बात, तो अब मैं इस पर कोई सुधार कर नहीं सकती. वेस्टर्न एजुकेशन तक भी ठीक था, पर अब तो लड़का म्यूज़िक सीख रहा है, सो दैट इज़ बियॉन्ड माई कंट्रोल नाउ. शी हैड गिवन अप. When I went up to the university, I was given a room of my own. So now when the grandson grew older, तो उसको नेचुरली है कि अब अपनी दादी के रूम में नहीं रहेगा, उसे नया रूम दिया गया. When he got a separate room, तो क्या हुआ? The common link of friendship was snapped. Because at least earlier, even though they never used to talk, they stopped talking as much as they used to before. उन लोग एटलीस्ट एक रूम में तो थे साथ में, एटलीस्ट कभी तो एक दूसरे से मिल लेते थे, बात हो जाती थी. बट अब तो रूम्स भी सेपरेट हो गए हैं. एंड यू नो हाउ किड्स आर, हाउ पीपल आर, दे कन्फाइन देमसेल्व्स इन देयर रूम. सो द सेम वे अब तो उनका कोई बात करने का कोई लिंक ही नहीं रहा. अब किस मुद्दे पे बात करेंगे? द grandson had become westernized and grandmother had was clinging to her traditional roots, so they had nothing, no common bridge. Let's see what happens next. अब क्या होता है? Is the common link of friendship completely snapped? Can you not reverse this thing? Let's see what happens tomorrow in the story. Meanwhile, please do your homework. Thank you.